The
Thank
main
you.
reason I invited you on the show, obviously, is your amazing education and your ability to communicate the things that you have learned in low carbohydrate nutrition. The second reason, and just under the first reason, the second reason I'm inviting you on the show is I absolutely love your voice. You have such an amazing voice. I could listen to you and our mutual friend Nairi Missisian talk back and
Okay.
forth for hours. You have a way of
Wow.
like intonating everything, and it sounds like more like a song than a conversation. And she does the same thing, and I've told her that too. But yeah,
Wow.
you guys
Oh,
both have
thank
very
you.
beautiful voices, and I love listening to the flow and the this. It almost sounds like music to me.
Oh, thank you. No one's told me that. And I am Chinese, so I do have a little bit of an accent. So yeah, that's unusual that you comment about that.
There you go. It's definitely one of the first things that I noticed. Being somebody that has a very like harsh voice and it's like really too high and not the best for podcasting. When I listen to your podcast, you have a great voice, and yeah, I love the way that it flows. But anyway,
Oh,
you
thank
have an
you.
amazing. Absolutely, you're welcome. You have an amazing story. We've heard so many different versions of this story over the years with lots of different doctors getting
Yeah.
into medicine for all the absolute best reasons, finding out after several years and decades and maybe some burnout, realizing that as much as they wanted to help people, they really weren't helping people as much as possible. And that's kind of related to your story as well. Can you tell us how you got into medicine, why you got into medicine, and what you found when you started practicing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm almost 50. So I've been a doctor for 25 years. We finished in the year 2000. And I've been a GP, general practitioner or family physician, for over 20. For most of it, I've been just a normal doctor, normal GP, prescribing coughs and antibiotics or coughs and colds and seeing whatever comes in. I had a personal journey about 8 or 9 years ago where I just wanted to lose some weight and I was tired. I had a patient who came in, I can't even remember what consultation she came in. She was just casually talking to me and asked me, "Are you having another baby?" And at that stage, I had my two kids already, and my youngest could be a toddler. And I was dumbfounded, and I was surprised that I don't feel very big and fat. And she thought I was pregnant, and I thought, oh my God, I need to do something about myself, and I need to lose weight and get myself right, because I
Never,
don't want
ever, ever, never, never, never. Just somebody could be obviously 9 months pregnant. You never say that.
to. I know I could be a little bit chubby, could be a little bit tummy, and for a very small, petite Chinese of me, that is very surprising, and I was dumbfounded. So I had to do something about myself. I joined the local gym, which is just 10 minutes around the corner, did some workouts 2 or 3 times a week. After 3 months, nothing happened. Didn't lose any weight at all. So I happened to come across an 8-week body transformation challenge by my gym instructor. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And just because I like to try new things, and I signed up to this challenge. And he gave me a spreadsheet of what I had to do, what I had to eat. I had to put all the food on the scale to weigh the protein and weigh the carbs and fat. So I had to put 120 gram of protein, 20 gram of carbs, 20 gram of fat on the scale each meal. After 8 weeks, I won the challenge, losing 4 kilos, 4% body fat. And because I'm a very short, petite Chinese girl, I leaned out a lot, and I was very happy and looked into this. And the trainer said, "This is ketosis. You've been going on a low carb diet." And I researched more on this diet and what happened. And I understood that this is a metabolic state. And that's how I lost weight. I kept searching, looking into low carb down under, did a weekend course for doctors. I looked into Nutrition Network, then it became lockdown. I had heaps of time to do lots of studies and research. So I dived into this rabbit hole and keep learning, connected with like-minded individuals, did lots of conferences, and I actually met you in 2023 in San Diego in the low carb down under.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember.
Of
And
course.
it's been an amazing learning journey, and I totally enjoyed it. About 2.5 years ago, I decided one morning that I'm going to set up my own low carb clinic. So I told my husband that morning on a Sunday when I woke up, I said, I'm going to start my own clinic because all these people came in to see me from all around Australia, and I want to help them with longer consultations. The usual consultations, about 10 minutes in and out, and it's just not very rewarding at all. So I extended my consultations to 45 minutes, and people had to pay rather than covered by, we call it Medicare in Australia. And these people are much more motivated because they've got longer time with me. They pay for the consultations, they're invested, and they come from even an hour or two away, driving all over the country to come and see me. And I've been so rewarded by this journey, and talking to people, setting up my podcast, being invited to do talks. And I like feeling so amazed at how this journey has taken me.
It's incredible. It is really all encompassing, and it's interesting to look back on those uh, deflection points and times that really change our lives. And it's funny that you were doing a weight loss contest, and that's how you kind of found some of this stuff. I was doing the same thing, but on the
Mm.
trainer's side of things. We were hosting these weight loss competitions that the company would give us, and it was all about buy the whole grains, make sure you eat all the fruits and vegetables, and like here's all your workouts and shopping lists. And it was so terrible because it never worked, but we still had to do it all the time. And it was one
Oh, wow.
consultation where I recognized that one of the people I was working with just simply wasn't eating enough fat. I'd been familiar with Nina Teichel's work, and I
Mm.
kind of knew that fat wasn't as bad as we thought. I told the guy to start eating a little bit more fat, and he came back a few days later and said, like, oh, I've lost 3 pounds. What is this keto stuff? And that was
Mm.
that moment for me sent me down the rabbit hole of learning all about this stuff. And once you get into the rabbit hole, it's hard to get out. It's a
It is.
long kind of journey. And it's also interesting. I find it striking that you hear about ketosis and you know that it's a metabolic state. It is a
Mm.
way that your body uses energy. Yet this textbook behind me, my nutrition coaching textbook, it's 700 or 800 pages long. It's big and thick, and there is one sentence that talks about burning fat and making ketones. One sentence in that entire
Oh, wow.
textbook. It's kind of the same in the medical field. Like you would think if we're talking about the way a human body can operate, you would know about it. It would be written about, or like people would tell you about George Cahill's studies and what happens to the
Mhm.
body when you put it into fasting. And like it's crazy how hidden in plain sight this information is.
Absolutely. I've never learned about it in medical school. Nobody's taught me, and I've only learned it since I've come into the journey. And I did my own research through the low carb community, low carb down under nutrition network, and that's how I learned about it in the last few years.
Yeah, wow. One of my favorite authors wrote a book called Body Science, and he decided to coin the term ketosis, but the opposite of ketosis being glucosis. And he coined that
Yes.
term glucosis to kind of like understand that these are two hemispheres, these are two sides of the same coin, and they are metabolic states you can be in. And one is an emergency system, but unfortunately, our societies, especially around here, and it sounds like the same down there, we're running on the backup emergency system for carbohydrates and running that system all the time and completely ignoring this other system of burning fat and making ketones.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's very good to be burning glucose, and I absolutely and I feel so much better burning ketones and so much more energy, less bloated, my mind's clearer, and my patients say the same. And it's amazing teaching all these patients to switch their body fuel system, being metabolic flexible, then they can have much more feeling much more better in themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're listening and watching, you said you're just about to turn 50. You don't look at all like you're anywhere close to 50. You look very, very
No.
young, and it's something we noticed
Oh.
in our world as well. Yeah. Okay. So as a trained medical doctor, there must have been some trepidation on your end when you start learning about low carbohydrate and keto and eating fat. Like, what were some of the barriers that you had to overcome and you really had to research to feel comfortable not only trying this for yourself, but maybe suggesting this for your patients and eventually stepping out on your own? It's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to unlearn a lot of things that I've been taught. So I've been practicing for over 15 years like this in a traditional medical field. So lots of things I had to unlearn and relearn. And it took me a while to be comfortable to teach this to my patients, especially the thing that like it's okay to eat fat, like higher fat diets is okay. And then there's the whole story about cholesterol, that we should stop fearing cholesterol and learning how to read the cholesterol profile differently, and more about incorporating all the metabolic markers in looking into a person's health rather than just the total cholesterol number. So yeah, we can dive into all that if you wish, but I have unlearned a lot and then relearned a whole lot of different paradigm on how to look into metabolic health.
Yeah, I love asking doctors this question, but do you believe that doctors should receive more education about nutrition when they're in training, or do you believe that if they got more education, they would be further indoctrinated in the wrong things?
Yeah, it's very hard question. Probably a bit, you're right in both of those sentences. But I think doctors should be educated much more in nutrition, because I don't remember being taught much about it at all. But yeah, if we're taught the wrong thing, that'll be even worse. So I think we need to get the right message out, which is very difficult because there's so many different camps of nutrition. We've always been taught to eat the food pyramid, eat so much grains and food and fruit and veggies. But I've unlearned all that and come to realize that it's the protein and the fat that's the most important. Fruit and veggies, you can have it, but you don't have to, and it's really not necessary. Whereas the traditional dietitians and nutritionists will teach you to eat all that. So it is very, very confusing and very hard to get it right.
Yeah. Well, your podcast and your new book coming out is called Prescribing Lifestyle, which I think is wonderful. Can you contrast what your practice is like today, what it's like to work with somebody in clinic? Like you said, you're seeing a lot of very highly motivated people. They're paying, and so that's part of it. In some cases, they're traveling quite a long ways to come and see you.
Mm.
Can you contrast what your work is like today with what it used to be like when you were more in the medical model? How are those things so different?
Yeah, yeah. I still work in the traditional medical model in the in and out consultation because I'm not quite getting out of it yet. But that medical model, the traditional one, is more of a reactive state. People come in, they have certain medical conditions, or maybe they've got a cough or a cold or a pain, or they just want a prescription, or they've got a certain agenda that they come in. And that model is just trying to solve something for the patients, and it's reactive. Whereas the newer model that I'm trying to incorporate with prescribing lifestyle is more of a proactive state, and I'm trying to give them the tools to empower themselves, try to encourage them to look into improving their nutrition, or I might give them some exercises to strength train, or setting them up to build up healthy habits, or maybe I tell them to breathe better, breathe through their nose rather than breathe through their mouth, and do some meditation, mindfulness, work on their mindset. So I am empowering patients that they can take charge, and we are proactive and practicing preventative healthcare. Patients, they feel much better. They feel like they can get the tools, and then they go away. Then they come back to have an accountability session with me, let's say 4 weeks or 8 weeks. Or maybe they come back 4 weeks later and want me to guide them onto different kind of a lifestyle. I have some people that keep coming back every 2 weeks, and they want to work on a different habit every 2 weeks because they worked on, let's say, nutrition for the first 2 weeks, and then maybe 2 weeks later they work on mindset, journaling, gratitude, and it's so empowering. We're setting up patients for good, healthy habits and setting up for in longevity. So yeah, I'm totally enjoying this pathway.